When in history were you invited to draft a constitution that potentially could affect billions of people? It's not really something that happens every day.
Cardano is actually achieving something that has never been attempted before because of how complex this is.
The things that we decide about are going to have implications that we can't necessarily anticipate, and that's part of an emergent process.
Today we're going to talk about governance, the topic of governance as it relates to blockchains, specifically the Cardano blockchain, and how they are setting the bar high, creating the first true decentralized on-chain governance. They are about to ratify a constitution in Argentina. My wife sitting next to me, Nadia, will be going as a representative. She got elected. We're really excited. We're going to be talking about that and what this constitution means. I'm going to let Nadia talk about her involvement as this relates to on-chain governance. And we're going to look at it because, we live in America, United States of America. This country revolutionized the world when it created a constitution. Prior to the United States of America, kings and queens ruled the world, and there was little to no power given to the people. The founding fathers came over here. They recognized that there was an opportunity to restructure the way that rule and power could be distributed to the people, and then that can actually accelerate an economy and give hope to young entrepreneurs, and the rest is history. Say what you want about it. It's not perfect, but it has invigorated entrepreneurs throughout the ages here, the 250 or so years that this country has been founded. We have revolutionized the tech space. We've formed the internet. There's so many powerful things that came out of giving that power to the people. And why I say that is because right now, as we sit here today, in the world of business, finance, big enterprise, we still live in that world of kings and queens. We still live in that world where there is a king at the top, a C-suite of actors, CEO, CFO, vice president, president, board of directors that control everything about an organization. Name the organization. That's how it's run. And all the people that use the business, they really don't have any say as far as the decisions that are made, what's happening with the treasury. And Cardano is, I can't overstate this enough. Cardano is actually achieving something that has never been attempted before because of how complex this is. When you're talking about an enterprise giving up full control of its operations, that's what we're looking at right here when Nadia goes to Argentina to take part in ratifying this constitution, where we will give power to the people, all the people that use Cardano, that build on Cardano, that invest in Cardano, are going to be the decision makers. And so with Cardano, there are no patents, everything is open source, and it's a fantastic thing. So Nadia, what's your experience being involved in this, and what could you offer? Because you have a wealth of information. It's just so wonderful to sit next to you through this process, and I'm excited to introduce you to the channel. She's going to be doing more videos from Argentina and as it relates to governance. And so take it away.
Yeah, first of all, it's cool to be on this side of the channel. Usually I'm on the other side of the channel doing the editing and the production, so it's daunting a little bit and also fun to just sit on this side. And so I think it's also been interesting, having been selected for this position of delegate, how what a delegate does is it represents a region that is participating in the evolution of this Cardano Constitution. So there are many regions around the world that got together in 6 continents. We got together as groups and organized ourselves and came together to talk about this drafting of this constitution. And then from those individual regional workshops, then delegates were selected and voted on through that process. And then those people, there's a delegate and an alternate, and then a sort of suite of different people who are going to, who are follow-ups in case anything would happen. And I was actually initially elected as the alternate, but then the delegate had a life event where he isn't able to go, so then I became the delegate. So that's been a really fantastic experience, because then all of those people who were selected come together and have come together over multiple different conversations and iterations, and meetings with the opportunity to give feedback on how the Constitution is drafted. And then this will culminate here in Argentina, where we're all going to come together from around the world. So explaining that to the people in my immediate life is sort of complicated. I was having a conversation last night with someone, one of my close friends, and she was saying, "You're going to Argentina for what are you doing?" And I said, well, part of what Cardano does, and most people understand by now how much we do in Cardano. And I said, Cardano as a blockchain is decentralized, so you have to figure out how you're going to make decisions together, and what are the guidelines and guardrails, and what are the expectations, and how do we involve ourselves with each other? How do we make decisions within a decentralized environment? That's really what this experiment is. And so as we're coming together to sort of figure that out, obviously everyone has different opinions, and to be in that process is really, what decentralized governance is about. And so I say this to people, and they go, okay, that's good. So at the end, there's going to be a constitution. I said, yeah. And that's just going to help us, work together. And that's sort of where it goes. But I think it's nice to do a video like this where we really break down, like, what does that mean? What will be the outcome of that? Why is that important? It's always interesting to hear from you, because you have been so involved in governance. You started way back in things like, I know you started voting in Catalyst in Fund 3 when that became available. Catalyst, a funding mechanism within the ecosystem also. If you haven't, we won't get into that too much, but that's an opportunity where the community can participate in decision making about what things are being built. So you've been in that, and then every protocol that you're involved in has governance for the most part in these decentralized autonomous organizations, and you're able to help make decisions about what happens in that process. So Cardano is not only sort of creating this opportunity for itself and for its community, but it's also setting a standard for a process and creating a demonstration of what this looks like for the greater Cardano ecosystem, and for blockchain overall, because if you have a decentralized environment, you have to figure out there's no one in charge, there's no boss, right? There's no CEO whose door you come and knock on, or president who you need to figure out what their perspective is, and elect representatives in that way. So how do we make decisions within this environment, and how do we come to consensus on that when there's such diverse conversation happening? Mm-hmm. So it's tumultuous, actually. It's not, you think it would be very like, oh great, we're doing this, and there's a lot of that. There's a lot of excitement about that, but there's also a lot of diverse opinions, and anyone can submit a proposal for the Constitution. So the Cardano Foundation has also done that. There's lots of moving parts and lots of opportunities to take part, and also just the initial way of taking part, which is to learn about it. And that's why we're making this video.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that it really does offer a lot of knowledge and education. It educates the participant, the builder, the holder, whoever you are in the Cardano ecosystem. When you're looking at, like, for instance, a SIP proposal, which is a Cardano improvement proposal, that's how this whole thing started, where you can propose an idea, and changes could be made on chain. So Cardano has something called a hard fork combinator event, an HFC event, and that is a different direction that the chain could go, and no central actor is making those decisions. Cardano, for the people who don't know, was founded by 3 entities. You have everybody knows Charles Hoskinson, or should know Charles Hoskinson. I believe that he'll be a household name someday. I get in conversations with people right now. They're like, who's that? I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, everybody I talk to, I don't know. Unless you're in the Cardano ecosystem, of course. Charles Hoskinson, and he CEO of Input Output Global, IOG. That's one of the founding entities. Then you have the Cardano Foundation, and then you have Emergo. And so IOG, which was IOHK, they focus on the technical aspects, the building. They are an enterprise that builds cryptocurrencies. So Cardano isn't the only product that they have. They have Daedalus, they're doing Lace, they're creating Midnight, which is a privacy blockchain, among many other things. I encourage you to visit their website. Just search like Input Output Global. to see their products. It's beautiful. There is then Cardano Foundation, which focuses on the education. Like, how do we educate the world about Cardano? And how could we do that in a autonomous way? And Emergo, which focuses on enterprise. Like, how do we connect major enterprises to Cardano? Like Deloitte, for instance, that would be great. And so they have since then given up power, and pretty much fully. And when this Constitution gets ratified here, in next week's time, all of those powers, the reins of power, will be given to the community. And it's kind of unfathomable when you think about it. No other blockchain is even close to being able to understand how to do that or take on that endeavor because, as Nadia said, it's extremely difficult. People have so many differing opinions on where the blockchain should go. What should be accomplished on the layer 1 side? What could layer 2 accomplish? Why wouldn't the layer 2 solve a situation instead of the layer 1? And a layer 2 is just basically a Cardano native project building on top of the layer 1, which is Cardano is a layer 1. And so there's passionate discussions. What are the native token standards? There's so many things. What do we do with the treasury, right? I don't know. There's 1.4, 1 point something billion ADA locked in the treasury right now, sitting, waiting to be deployed. And this is something that's going to come. What do we do? Do we do marketing? Do we pay for developers? Do we do education? And so these are decisions that will be given to the community. It's a powerful situation. Going back, and then I'll turn it back to Nadia, to the forefathers founding this country, it was unfathomable, right? It was something that was absolutely crazy of an idea. In fact, when George Washington became the president, King George did not expect and did not believe that he would actually give up the power. Like, once George Washington gained power of the presidency of the United States of America, King George did not think he was going to give up the presidency. And he did, right? He did. And they have that 4-year cycle. He gave up the presidency. It shocked the world. And that's how our elections and our government has evolved over the years. And it's my view that the archaic constitution that the United States has, when it was developed way back then, has some flaws and issues. And the way that I look at what Cardano is about to do with their constitution has me think that this is what it would look like to actually have an upgrade of the constitution overall. And it's my view that corporations, enterprises, even government states, perhaps could even be running their elections through their Cardano network and adopt a lot of the iterations that the Cardano Constitution is putting forth. So it's extremely exciting to get involved. Anybody can get involved. You got involved. You didn't. It's everything's open source. Join Intersect. You can join Intersect. When we went to Rare Evo, Charles was just interviewing project after project, and every single time he stopped the interview, he said, "Go ahead and join Intersect."
Put the links down.
Yeah, we'll put the links down there. And as Nadia said, this morning on Liquid Finance is one of the protocols. I voted on 4 different decisions, key decisions. What are we going to do with the Cardano native tokens as far as how they're represented in rewarding participants who supply rather than the ADA participants? And we're voting to send one of their co-founders, Florian Yates, to actually be a D-rep on behalf of Liqwid, and 2 other votes. And MinSwap has votes, and OrcFax has votes, and Yam4, and Vi Finance, and all of these projects on the Cardano native side of things are going after and following the blazing of trails that Cardano is setting. They're setting the bar high like this, and it's exciting to be a part of it.
Yeah, I guess for some, if you're still here at this point in the video, either like you're well versed and a lot of this is like second nature to you and you're just interested in the conversation, or you're sort of newer to it and half of the words don't make sense, like D-rep, right? So that's always the thing. When we get far into this ecosystem, we start to use language that is unfamiliar. And so I think that's an important thing to recognize, because as you're coming to learn about this ecosystem, number one, and then about certain niches within the ecosystem, whether it's finance or governance or gaming or, whatever it is that you're choosing to learn about, there's going to be new technology. I remember when I graduated from high school, I went and I lived in Europe for a while, and I lived in Europe for 3 years, and I learned German. And then the third year that I was there, I'd been there a long time, but I was a teacher. And so we took the seniors at that school to scuba dive. It was their like senior trip, which PS, like I never had a senior trip like that. I mean, I like go scuba diving for a week in Spain. It was pretty cool. But anyway, so we took these 12th graders scuba diving, and I get there and you're learning something very technical. I didn't know any of that vocabulary because I'd never gone scuba diving in Germany or Europe at all before anyway. So none of that language made sense. So there's this downloading of all this new information that you do. And that just is part of the expectation. In some ways, you have to make it through that difficulty, because I wanted to go swim with the fishes, right? So it was like a part of that process was overcoming the difficulty of not necessarily being familiar with what's being talked about. And anyone who's been in this ecosystem for a long time has had to do that. Even a developer who's highly technical and understands how to code and write languages has to learn a new language for working in the space. Or maybe you're a developer and you're cool with all those languages and you're versed at writing them, but you're not necessarily don't have a financial background, and so you're learning those elements. So I just encourage that governance is a word that I feel like we should come up with like a cooler word for governance, because just the word governance sometimes is intimidating for people. But really, we're getting together and making decisions about how we coexist together. And it's not a sure thing that the Constitution will pass. We should say that also. Like, we're not going because it's being ratified. We're going to see if it's going to be ratified, and people will get to put their vote in for that, all of these delegates. And we'll have this on-chain vote. It'll be cool. It's part of history. It's really cool. I actually, one of the pre-meetings was in Kenya. I got to go to Kenya, and a ton of the people on the Eastern Hemisphere were at that one. I did a lot of like interviews with them. And so we'll put that up on the channel here. I think it was cool how it came out. It's just people's stories, how they got into this space, and people of all ages, all backgrounds, all reasons for being here. So we'll try to capture that during the week as well, because it really is a global effort. And as we have those conversations, new things come up, and things are really important to people that are less important to other people, and you have to figure out how to come together on that. And so we're making decisions on how we're going to coexist with each other in a global community that meets online and sometimes also in person, and is creating something for the future that also has a lot of technical decisions in it. And those make sense to some people and not to others. So we're all learning together. It's a real exploration. I think that's important to remember, because some of these conversations are hard. The people who have really been working on drafting this Constitution, it is a tremendous undertaking. And other people are drafting constitutions. It's great to when in history were you invited to draft a constitution that potentially could affect billions of people? It's not really something that happens every day. So the invitation to take part in something that is revolutionary is here in a way that it has never been here. It's certainly not in our lifetimes. And with the exception of what you've already mentioned, as far as like this country and others that have maybe followed suit in that way, that hasn't really existed. So we do have to, it is work. You and Jamie did the video the other day about making the Genius Yield market maker bot. And at the end, Jamie says like, okay, it's not going to it's not point and click. You have to do some effort to get into it. So maybe what I'll do is I'll make sure that I put some of the most helpful links underneath in the description so you guys can check it out. There are people who have created hubs of understanding where you can go there and look. Intersect has a site that has all of the previous drafts, so you can see how it's evolved. Cardano Foundation has their proposal also. You can read it in a PDF, and you can just really compare and see how it's growing. So I'll be excited to just continue to cover this next week. I'll be like kind of an investigative journalist at the same time, which will be really fun. It's fun just to get people's stories in there. And I think we should just ultimately remember that we're doing something that's never been done. And so the things that we decide about are going to have implications that we can't necessarily anticipate, and that's part of an emergent process. It's good that we're coming into it in this way, and I hope that watching this has maybe demystified it a little bit for you, and also encouraged you to get involved, because it's not hard to get involved, you can just jump right in and be ready to be discombobulated for a while. And then after that, you'll find a place that really makes sense for you to contribute what you have brought to this ecosystem. Yeah.
Whoa, we got the mic going away. Runaway mic. No, it's extremely empowering. It's powerful stuff. So we look forward to your videos coming out from Argentina. You might just like live stream down there. I won't be going, so I'll be back here doing some stuff here with Jamie. And yeah, it's exciting. I was talking to Jamie this morning, and we're just like talking about the market maker bot. We're going to put out the video about that. And there's two things I want to say is like this video is a representation that we're not just focused on DeFi. I mean, DeFi is a huge aspect of the channel. Decentralized finance. It's sometimes there's like another word that should be used for that also. It's just kind of like a scary word perhaps, but it basically just means that you're empowered to create your own sovereignty with wealth or with money, transactions, and what have you. And Cardano really facilitates that. But there's so much more to the Cardano ecosystem. We were on a Twitter Spaces yesterday. We have a proposal in Catalyst right now that just talks about reforming education and how education can work. There's so many protocols building on Cardano right now that are focused on just education, changing the whole education landscape. And so there's so many things, but involved in the conversation, I'm sitting there actually voting in Liqwid Finance and their 4 proposals, and we're talking. And I said, as I'm talking with him about reading some of these projects, which are beautiful to read. I mean, you can get in the forums, you can read these proposals, and it teaches you a lot about what's going on. And I just love doing that. And in the process of doing that, he's like, oh, I got some. He just got a little bit of the Liqwid tokens, and he went ahead and staked it on the platform, and then he's now able to take part in those votes. And so it's just empowering to not only be involved in something, but actually have a say in what goes on. And there's passionate views, right? So we encourage you to visit the links in the description as it relates to the Constitution, on-chain governance revolution that Cardano is pioneering right now. We are going to keep you updated with new videos. I'm going to let Nadia kind of have the last word here before she sends herself off to Argentina.
Yeah, I have to pack still. That's a big question mark. Anyway, I hope this video has encouraged you to get more involved in Cardano governance, even if it's just like I'm going to spend 30 minutes reading about something, or read the Constitution. Read it a couple times. That's something that we've all said in these spaces that we've been doing and in a lot of the workshops, that it takes time to read it to really absorb it. And it's good if you read something and not all of it makes sense, because that is part of the learning process. So we're going to try to keep these videos coming, some from Argentina, some as follow-up, to really help you just come from a lay perspective on governance into feeling really empowered to take part, because that's what this is about. Decentralized governance is about you taking part, and it's about you being invited to the table to make decisions about the things that are going to affect you. So we hope that you do that, and I will see you guys next from Argentina.